While preparing for this service, I watched a TED Talk video that was entitled, "Why Comfort Will Ruin Your Life." It was by a gentleman named Bill Ekstrom, a leadership coach based out of the University of Nevada. Ekstrom describes research that he did on the science of discomfort and growth. After being fired from a job where he had become uncomfortable and secure in upper management, Ekstrom began describing how discomfort can challenge us to grow or to shrink. His research finds that there are 4 environments that promote or hinder growth, what he calls growth rings. They run into one another and overlap in the connecting points. The first environment is called stagnation. Obviously, not much is happening here. People are required to follow certain steps, have certain permissions, and have a consistent repetition in their lives. The last environment at the other end is called chaos. And yet again, obviously no growth happens here because there is zero possibility of input or predictability. There is no room for growth because there is no control of outcomes. When the video was produced back in 2013, Bill Ekstrom argued that governments were likely in stagnation environments, and such things as natural disasters would cause someone to be thrown into a chaos environment. Although now in 2020, I wonder if our world politics are playing and responding to natural disasters and they fall into categories of chaos as well. Perhaps stagnation looks a little bit more like moving through the motions of everyday life, doing things the way we have always done them because that's the way we just do them. The 2 environments that lead to growth in Ekstrom's diagram are order and complexity. Order is the slow and easy path towards growth. Things move along as they're supposed to, step by step to the end of time. Things can grow, but it's in a comfortable way and in easy, slow-moving fashion. When things start to shake up and move in a direction that is no longer comfortable, Ekstrom suggests we have moved into the ring of complexity. And this is where his catchphrase, "What makes you comfortable can ruin you, and only in a state of discomfort can you continue to grow." In the environment of complexity, we are asking ourselves to step into that discomfort, to engage with the meaning and triggers that put us there, and we are given the opportunity to grow. But what happens? What does it mean to step into discomfort? Why would one want to do that? Why would anybody choose to struggle and arduously move through life in discomfort? In 2009, I was married. I had been in a challenging relationship where communication between my partner at the time and I was not easy, and where emotional violence had occurred in consistent patterns. But I had made a commitment to this man, and I wanted to live into that promise. Although my life was uncomfortable, I was not excited to wake up every morning to live the life that I had. I decided to accept his marriage proposal and start planning a wedding. This same old felt less uncomfortable than saying no, and figuring out the complexity that came along with a no. There was a new kind of order in my life, but it was not yet heading into a complexity growth ring. My mundane and routine life was changing around because I was now planning a large ceremony and a celebration for a relationship that was unstable. Unfortunately, as I look back on my 21-year-old self, I recognize now that I had made the wrong decision. Although the relationship had lasted for 6 years and the marriage lasted only for 16 months. I found myself in an opportunity of change, an opportunity of discomfort that would allow me to stretch into my growth or fall back into old patterns. It was not a stable relationship, but it was something that I knew, and it was a situation that I had some amount of control in. We, people of all kinds, stumble into these places where growth is necessary to move forward, and yet it is challenging and uncomfortable, and so far away from what we know that it is often too scary to move into, let alone to summon up on our own. Growing pains, the uncomfortable, throbbing ache that comes at the most inopportune times, and that need to be dealt with, that won't be ignored. I remember having growing pains as a child. I would usually get them in my calves, a big knot of pain right below my knee. And they usually came along as I was sleeping or just as I was about to drift off. Suddenly, my legs would cramp up. I would pull my knees tight into my chest and I would cry out in agony. But no matter how tightly I would squeeze together into a tiny little ball and close my eyes and cry and plead, the only thing that would make the pain go away was when I stretched out my legs, flexed my toes up to my shins, and lengthened the calf muscle as much as possible. Shrinking and trying to stay small in these moments only made things worse. It would prolong the agony that I felt screaming through my calves, down into my toes, and up into the backs of my knees. Growing into ourselves, the authentic, genuine selves that we each have the potential to be, is much the same way as it was all those years ago with my leg cramps. At times, the pain of growth is unbearable. We scrunch up into a tight ball, not wanting to let go of the me who is here, and stretch out into the me who has yet to come. It is often a struggle to figure out who we are and how we want to be in the world. As I continued a relationship and furthered a commitment that was not true to myself, it was as if I was squishing myself into a tight ball, holding on to my aches and pains and not allowing myself to stretch out into further possibilities and deeper change. Holding on with all of the control that I could muster, all of the strength I had left, in hopes of finding equilibrium, in hopes of easing away the pain. But if we are lucky, we will soon discover that what would be best for us is to ask for help and stretch through the challenges of growth. As Bill Ekstrom continues to describe in his theory of growth, as Bill Ekstrom continues to describe his theory of growth, he states that there are 3 different triggers that can cause discomfort and push people into the complexity growth ring. Discomfort can be thrust upon you, like being fired from a long-term job. Or you can choose discomfort for yourself by deciding to challenge yourself and grow. Or someone can help us get there, to push and coax and encourage us into and through the discomfort. This is the role of parents, teachers, coaches, mentors, ministers, and all of the many, many other people who challenge us through our discomfort, who help us engage our discomfort, and who want more for us. And so they walk right beside us through our discomfort. It wasn't until I could no longer live with the discomfort that held me into a tight ball that my relationship brought to me that I was finally able to leave. I had held and squeezed and clung on for so long, trying to refuse the change that was right before me, trying to refuse to see that I had outgrown the relationship. But finally, I had to break through. Finally, I turned to those who I knew would support me the most and asked for their help in stretching through my growing pains. Can you think of a time when you have stretched through a growing pain? When you have stepped into the struggles that you have been wrestling with and allowed the discomfort to overtake you? How did you manage through that struggle? How did you overcome your discomfort and find a new sense of equilibrium? Who was there to help you massage out the kinks? Who had you wished would have been there? If I look at the growth rings from Ekstrom as a path that we can work our way down, starting with stagnation, moving into comfort, and then complexity, I can see the pathway that this congregation has been walking for the last several years. Maybe there was some chaos thrown in the mix somewhere as well. But the recognition that this congregation was in stagnation was made, and the decision to hire a minister happened. There was a recognition that things were not going to happen on their own, and that you needed to find a way to move into control. We've now been on this path of slow and easy progress, moving ever forward, one slow step at a time. We are growing. There is evidence that we can continue to move forward slowly. But if we are going to achieve our goals, move forward in a way where professional ministry is possible, where sharing Unitarian Universalism to the city of Kelowna and sharing our mission of shared spiritual community, social justice, and the enrichment of life is broader than just our small group of gathered here, we are going to need to stretch out of our comfortable ring of controlled growth and step into a ring of complexity. I believe we've already made movements towards this arena. Hiring a communications coordinator and a children and youth program coordinator have both been important aspects of this work. Now the practice is going to be stretching through the pain, flexing our toes up to our shins when we need to move through the discomfort, finding ways to welcome the complexity and not shut it down. Unlike that 21-year-old me who chose to stay in a bad situation because changing would have made everything hard. Walking away from a bad relationship was too life-altering. How do we step into the complexity of change and allow ourselves to grow? I hope that we can walk through this growth ring together. I hope that we will make some amazing and collaborative choices together over the next year. Let us make it so.